Now, every Monday we chat with the TTPS. This morning we welcome back Inspector Michelle Lewis. Happy New Year, Inspector.
Thank you very much, Ruckus. Happy New Year to you and the entire team here. It's a pleasure to be back.
It's a pleasure to have you here. And, this morning we're going to be chatting a little bit about road safety. Just this season when lots of people are on the road and we know that people are going here, there, everywhere. Christmas season is also a high point for people driving about the place.
It has ended now.
Yes.
6th of December.
Yes, we finally come out of Christmas.
But we are going into the Carnival season.
The Bacchanal season.
And when we look at the data from last year, from Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, the Surveillance Unit, we realized that for the year 2022, we had just about 92 fatalities, road fatalities.
For the entire year?
For the entire year, August being the highest. But generally, December to March is our higher period, hence the reason we're starting.
Well, of course. So, but of course, we had no Carnival last year, so we didn't have that challenge of people going here, there, and everywhere for the fetes season and all that kind of thing. But now, places are a little bit more open, and people are out and about. So let's talk tips. And what advice do you give, or what do you suggest as a TTPS?
So last year we had no Carnival really.
A taste.
And so we saw, a taste. This Carnival, as you have indicated, it is to be, full Carnival as we know it to be. And so some of the things that we like persons to pay attention to, in particular, let's start first with the functionality of a vehicle.
Right.
To make sure that your vehicle is in good working order. Sometimes what causes accidents is not just speed or tiredness, but also because your vehicle is probably defective. Probably your windscreen is not working well, even the windscreen wipers, and so your vision in the night, and even at times at day, depending on the sun, is not too good. So simple things you, as a responsible driver or owner of a vehicle, should do to make sure that your vehicle is in good working order for yourself who drive it and for others. If you're looking at Carnival, fetes and events and that kind of thing, people going out. So you're working in the day or you have another activity that you do in the day. And you also want to go out in the night. And so your body can only sustain life and 100% agility and cognitiveness and all that for a certain amount of hours. So we encourage you, if it is that you're working in the day or you have another activity in the day and you want to go out in the night, to get another driver to assist you who would not be under the influence of alcohol or some other type of drug. So we want to implore you, please utilize that kind of service. You can also, some persons are also carpooling as well as hiring transport to make sure that their safety, their life, that you return home safely to your families.
I want to just touch on that point for a bit because, even if you're hiring transport, you're hiring a taxi service, how do you ensure safety in that regard?
Well, it's supposed to be so, we have registered companies.
Right.
Right, not wanting to promote any, right?
Of course,
we have registered companies, and so the drivers in those companies are not supposed to be under any alcohol influence or anything like that, right? Because they are working. And so we don't have any high rate where we see persons working in those type of organizations involved in accident to suggest to the public that that is not a safe way to go. So it appears safe.
And so you're suggesting the companies over, like, just their individual, let's call them entrepreneurs, who would just have the H license, and they would have gone to the regulatory licensing office to make sure they have their H and they're legal taxi drivers. But they still have they work for themselves. They have no accountability to anybody else except themselves.
Right, but they are registered taxi drivers through the Ministry of Works and Transport.
Right.
And so they are also legitimate. It's like, for example, a registered owner of a red van or green van maxi taxi. That's a businessman.
Right.
Might not have, be attached to a company, but it's a businessman. And likewise with taxi drivers. So they're registered because they have to go through, like you said, the rigors of Ministry of Works and Transport, make sure you have a certificate of character that is in good, that your record is good and all of that. So that's good. Yeah, because,
so you encourage, we could use taxi services, taxi drivers, and the companies as well.
Right, you can use that as well.
Right.
And of course, so you have that you could look at. But when you look at persons utilizing the road and that kind of thing, there's more times you see certain types of tickets coming forward, meaning that person, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, the officers are issuing tickets, for example, speeding. So you find more percentages of persons utilizing the road as speeding. And so you would see the highway patrol and traffic section in different traffic divisions and sections within the divisions having speed exercise and DUI exercises throughout Trinidad and Tobago at random times and at sometimes at events after fetes and parties. Right. So they'll do the sampling as well, and then they will do the tests where you could be charged and go to court. So let me just indicate to the public, to the listeners, that is not a ticketable offense. It is an offense for where you will be arrested and charged.
Which one is this? DUI?
The DUI. So if you're found driving under the influence of drug, which is alcohol, as we know it, right? Over the 35% breath for the testing, it's a criminal offense.
Right. So and you get arrested on site immediately.
On site immediately. If it's your first, the penalty is low, I think somewhere between 3,000 to 1,000 or something like that. If it's more, and then if it's 3 times, disqualification of a driver's permit for a period of time, 2 years or something like that, right? So it is not an offense for which you'll get a ticket, like how, for example, you get a ticket for exceeding the speed limit, or a ticket for breach of a traffic sign or failure to wear your seatbelt, because those are the highest that we see predominant in the country. But outside of that, we're advising you, don't drink and drive, period, right? It affects you generally. All right, so we have given you some of that. We also want to indicate that where we have road fatalities happening, we see most of it, even though a lot of the speeding takes place on the highway, we see more of the road fatalities taking place on main roads.
Serious?
57% last year was on the main roads.
Like, was it? I mean, I imagine is it same speeding, you think, or is it same like the defective vehicles, all of those factors to that?
All of those factors. On the highway it was 38%, but the main road took a higher percentage last year.
Very interesting. And you would think that the people will be driving a little bit more carefully on the main road.
On the main road, because it has more people crossing the road, more
traffic lights, more more reason to take your time.
The speed limit is low on the main road as opposed to the highway. But we saw that happening, so that we also want persons to pay attention and be mindful of pedestrians, persons walking the road and that kind of thing.
But what about pedestrians? Safety. What advice would you give pedestrians? Because like up to this morning coming to work, I'm seeing people exercising, but they're walking next to the pavement. They're walking in the road next to the pavement.
When they're jogging, some people do that.
I don't understand the logic. Why would you jog next to the pavement in the road?
Well, the pavement is there for your safety, in the first instance. Unfortunately, I don't know if this is the case of you this morning, but a lot of times persons park their vehicle on the footpath, causing pedestrians not to have to walk on the road. So in some cases, persons do that. I don't know if you have ever been guilty of that, Ruckus.
Me parking on the pavement?
No, some persons do park on the pavement, which is a ticketable offense, right?
But that's good to note, especially because when people go to fence, they tend to do things like that. They park wherever they get a chance to park.
So what people do is that they say, well, I'll leave the road clear, but I'll park on the pavement. But you're also now causing the pedestrian to walk on the road, which can cause a risk to them, of course, an accident or a fatality. So yes, you do see some persons going on the road because sometimes because of the, hill on the pavement, the up and down people. But the pavement is there for your protection. It is for your safety, both for child and adult. And we advise and encourage persons to utilize the pavement. It is for that purpose. If a vehicle is on the pavement, then, it can be ticketed. So when we look at road fatalities, we saw that 34% were pedestrians. 34 were, not 34%, but 34 were pedestrians. 34 were drivers. And the other 21 were passengers in the vehicle. So we still see that pedestrians still take a high number because we had 92. Fatalities last year.
And that was last year in a year when we didn't have many people outside for most of the year. So I imagine this year we need to be extra cautious as we traverse the streets, as we go to different events, wherever you may be going and all that. So just think, are we going to see a greater police presence?
We are in every division. You will see that, like I expressed earlier on, you will see the DUI exercise and the speed exercise and stuff like that. And also, not just in the night, you will also see it, the speed in the daytime as well, right? Because we want persons to see the presence of the police there and not take it for granted that, although we also, persons are very mindful, not very mindful, but very careless in their thinking, that if I don't see a police officer, I can drive anyhow I want. It's a bad habit, but we would be out there just to let persons know that the police presence is there, and we want to encourage you to do the right thing and save a life. Sometimes when you're involved in an accident the person, you may not be hospitalized, but there's something called whiplash that lasts very long and causes severe injury in a lot of cases. And so sometimes you not end up in the hospital immediately, but you have a lot of
latent effects that happen afterwards. I was actually a victim of that once. I had to wear a neck brace for almost a solid 2 months after. But Inspector, thank you very much for joining us today, and I look forward to chatting with you again next week.
Yes, it was a joy being here. Remember, Rockers, and to all your listeners and viewers, help the police to reduce crime, the fear of crime and all of that. If you see something, say something, dial 999-555-800-TIPS. And of course, we are here to work alongside with you. So thanks again for having the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service here.
No problem. Enjoy the rest of your day, Inspector. We'll take a quick break and we come back with more inside the Now Morning Show. Stay tuned.
Let's say thanks to the police all around, especially